afternoon, everyone. So we're going to another recipe. Today I am going to make steak and Guinness pie. I haven't had this in a long time, and it was another one of my favorites when I'd go to a pub. And even here, and the Irish restaurants are Irish pubs around here, steak and Guinness pie is another comfort food that sometimes I'd crave. And tonight we're having a craving for it. So that is what we're going to make. Hi, I'm Karen, and this is Grandma's New England Kitchen. I'm using ribeye steaks, and these are from Butcher Box. I've used Butcher Box for a long time. These are some beautiful ribeyes, and I got the thick cut ones. So I am going to cut these up. First thing I'm going to do when I take them out of the package is dry them off a little bit. So the main thing is you want to cube it into bite-sized pieces. And this is going to cook in a broth for quite a while. And these steaks are, how many? They're 18 ounces, so they're over a pound. I am going to cut off that. And definitely leave some of the fat on. It is flavor. If you have a big chunk of it, I take it off. So, like I said, these are from Butcher Box, not sponsored. And I use them for, I'm going to say going on 8 years now, maybe 7. And I do like their steaks, and I do the fact that you can customize it. Again, like I said, not sponsored, but going forward in my videos, you are going to notice that I'm not going to be using Butcher Box. And not because I don't think they have a great product, they do. But right here near me is a fantastic farm, and they deliver right to the house. And tomorrow I get my first shipment. I've heard rave reviews about them, and I've gone to the farm. They do a lot of things at it, and I'm going to switch over and start getting locally. And theirs is grass-fed, grass-finished beef also, and they have the chicken and pork, where everything is humanely raised. So I will be switching over, and I'll let you know how that goes. I know that's not going to help a whole lot of people that are not here in Massachusetts, but the farm is Lilac Hedge. And like I said, that shipment comes tomorrow. I am looking very forward to it. But I've done quite a few things with the dog training club that I'm in. My dog, Bella, that a lot of people, or not a lot, but some people may have seen on the videos, she is actually my service dog. She does medical alert, and she's fantastic at it. She's been 100%, which is great. If they're 80%, that's still considered great, but she's 100%. And they do a lot of stuff at the farm. And I love the farm, so I just want to support locally. So that is why I am switching. Okay, the beef is all cubed up now. So what I am going to do is salt and pepper it. I'm going to toss it around in a second. And if I get the top off the salt. Okay, let's toss this up. And I'm going to let this sit for a little bit while I get everything else together, all the other ingredients, and clean this up. I just like to do the meat first. Get it off to the side. And I will be back. And actually, talking about Miss Bella, she just came in. She's a good girl. Here, let me show you. I know I'm going to have to clean this off when I'm done, but hopefully this is showing her. Bella, say hi. I'm hoping that's showing you. Is that showing you? Let me come around. Yes, it is. Say hi. It's a good girl. You are, Bella. Okay, so let me go ahead and get everything together and clean this up, and we'll get back to making the steak and Guinness pie. I'm prepping the mushrooms. So these are some baby Bellas, and I just trim off the harder part of the stem. I cut them in half, and then I slice them. And then the other thing that I put in is I have a few dried oyster mushrooms, and I grew these last year and then dried them myself. Why I like doing a little bit of dried mushrooms is when you dry them and then you rehydrate them, you get this wonderful mushroom broth that I will put in the steak and Guinness pies also. So I just put some hot water down on them and make sure they get into the hot water. And I will let these set and hydrate for a little while. So I will bring you back in a little bit. Those are going to sit and hydrate. These are chopped up. I am going to get the carrots, celery, and onion prepped, and the garlic. And I'll bring you back in just a little bit. If anybody has seen me chop up vegetables fine, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can take this and put it into a food processor and spin it up in there and get them fine. We all know, or at least my kids know, and you guys are going to learn throughout me making videos, I love using this thing. One less cleanup, but I'm down to the garlic. Some of these cloves were really small, and I do a lot of garlic in mine. So does my husband, and I'm sure my kids do too. So this really should be like 3 large cloves. Some of these were small. They don't look that small because they're squished. But what I am going to start doing is chopping the vegetables. So I will start with the garlic. And I'm also going to start heating up my pan because we need to start browning the beef. Okay, garlic. Done. Now I want to chop up the onions really fine. Oh, and if you notice anything from my other videos, I moved my chopping block into here out of my kitchen. It seems like even when I'm not filming, I'm enjoying this space over my small kitchen. And so I was like, my chopping block needs to come in here. Which I prefer because I'm not too keen on chopping on top of my marble. That's usually only used for pie crust. So what I'm going to do is finish chopping all this up. I'm going to do the celery exactly the same, and I'm going to do the carrot the same. So you'll see that when we come back, and we'll get started on the beef. I got all my vegetables chopped up, which you will see in a little bit, but I am going to start on the beef. So I'm going to put just a little bit of olive oil down and some butter. Let that melt. And do your beef in batches. Now today I'm actually browning this in a pan. My beef stew, I just put it under a broiler and browned it. But I did that in a earthenware crock. So I didn't want to keep doing a whole bunch of pans. Here I want the fond, I want everything to build up at the bottom. So that is what we're going to do. So I'm going to let this brown. I'll bring you back when it is ready to come out, and I'll show you what it looks like. I brought you back to show you what you're looking for is your beef to get nice and brown on each side. So I just flipped them. And once this browns up, I'll take it off. I'll get the next batch in. And then after that browns, I will bring you back on our next steps. The steak is going to come out right now. Let me get my plate. And this is just a little over 2 pounds. The recipe does call for 2 pounds of meat. So it's just 4 ounces over. The next thing that's going to go in here are the mushrooms. Do not add any more oil. So we're going to have these kind of toast up. And you want to do it in somewhat of a dry pan. And I'll leave them pretty much alone. I am going to put a little salt on, but do not stir them yet. And a little pepper. The other thing, the dried mushrooms that I had soaked in the hot water, I've minced those up, and they're going to go in too. All the other stuff that I chopped up very fine with that chopper will all be going in just a little bit. And that's all sitting right there. So let's get back down on here. So let's go ahead and stir them now and see what, yep, they're starting to brown nicely in the pan. I don't know if you can tell that. Here you go. They are browning nicely. I do not want to add any more oil in this yet. And a little bit I will. But the mushrooms are going to start releasing some liquid. Okay, let's let those work for a little bit. And here again, I will bring you back when I go to the next step. The mushrooms are browning nicely, and hopefully there's not too much steam coming up there to block that view. So the next thing I'm going to do, my garlic, onions, carrot, and the celery. All that is chopped up very fine. Now you want to cook this down. It's going to release a lot of liquid, what you want. So make sure you cook this down nice. And I will bring you back when it's to that point. Hopefully this shows up well. So I'm prepping the herbs. So thyme, you just strip leaves off. And I'm looking for about a good tablespoon of thyme. Which that's about it. And then chop it up even finer. And then some fresh rosemary also. A little more rosemary. Okay, so let me get the thyme and rosemary in there. Let's bring it back to the pan. There we go. The rest of that. Now the next thing I'm going to put in is the broth from soaking the mushroom. I'm only going to put a little bit, leave the set, anything that's down at the bottom still down there. That's going to help build up, pick up any of the fond, the brown stuff down at the bottom. And I'm going to let that reduce down to 0 in the pan. The rest of my herbs in there. So I will bring you back once this reduces down to basically nothing else in the pan. All of the liquid is most of the liquid. You can see it's just like tiny little bits. It's starting to brown down at the bottom of the pan. So this is where I am going to move on to the next step. I want to put about a tablespoon of tomato paste. A teaspoon of brown Dijon mustard. Get that stirred in and start cooking out a little bit of that tomato. I want 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. And I should have taken that little cap out of there, but we'll work on it this way. There we go. I will tell you, this is smelling awesome right now. Now, I will tell you also, if you want a little bit more time in it, feel free. There's some people that like a lot of the herbiness. There's some that don't. I'll taste it late in a little bit and see if I think I need to add more time in it. Then the next thing I'm going to put in is 2 tablespoons of butter. Let the butter melt down. And this is 50 grams of flour. And that's roughly about 4 tablespoons. I want a nice thick gravy. So we're going to cook the flour out of this some. The raw flour taste. Then, of course, the next thing I will show you, Guinness. And this is a 14-ounce can. And I'm using about 10 ounces of it. Actually, I'm just going to use all of it. No. Okay, maybe about 12 ounces of it. Two cups of a beef bone broth. And this is the beef bone broth that I'm using. And then I'm using about 1.5 tablespoons of a beef stock. Just to up that beefy flavor. And the last thing before the beef goes in is 1 tablespoon of Gravy Master. Oh, this does smell fantastic. Now, the 2 pounds of beef is going back in along with all of the juices. And small bay leaf, so I'd say 1.5 bay leaf. And this is going to simmer now for about 2 hours. So I will bring you back when that is done, and then we will go ahead and get the steak and Guinness pies put together. So see you in 2 hours, but in a second for you. It's time to get the steak and Guinness pies together. So I am using the cast iron pans. And what I'm going to do is drain off a lot of the gravy. I want mainly steak and mushrooms in here. I do have something that I will be doing with the gravy afterwards. I'm going to try to even this out and hopefully make sure I get the bay leaves out. A little bit of gravy down in it, but not a whole lot. There's one bay leaf. Make sure I get that out. And there's the other one. So I am using a slotted spoon. It is going to leave some gravy in the pie, which is fine. It's what I want, but I don't want it swimming in it. It was only 2 steaks that I started with, so I expect to get 2 pies from it. And yes, for anybody who has seen any of my other videos, there's mushrooms in here. My poor husband, although he's been eating them. So that's a good thing. Okay, so that is basically everything. Leaving some gravy down in there. So I'm going to put just a tiny bit on it. And I know it's a slotted spoon. And I'm making a mess. But there we go. So these are all set. And I am going to get the tops done. So I'm going to go and get the puff pastry. I am cheating. I'm doing a puff pastry on the top. So let me go and get that. Put these off to the side. Clean up my little mess here. And we'll finish these up. So see you in a bit. The next thing I'm going to do is strain the gravy. Let me put that over there. I want a nice smooth gravy. Okay. Let's get this strained through. And when we do this, if there's any mushrooms or anything else that you want to add into your steak pies, feel free. I probably will not use any extra of this unless there's some nice big mushroom pieces in here. I'm not going to let them go to waste. But all the little pieces of onion and stuff that's left, you can put it in if you like, but I'm trying to leave this very steak heavy. So let's go ahead and get the puff pastry on. Like I said, I'm not making a homemade pie crust. I'm taking the easy way out here, but the main reason is I prefer puff pastry on top of it. And I can guarantee, I shouldn't say guarantee, that's like saying never. I don't like making homemade puff pastry. I've tried it, but I'm not a big fan of doing homemade puff pastry. So let's go ahead and get this one out. I do prefer the one that you get in the refrigerator section over the freezer puff pastry. So if this is available, I will get this. Hello, Miss Bella. My baby girl is here. She does have to check in on me, which she does quite often. And I'm sure that it has a lot to do with steak sitting over here. Probably more than checking in on me. I shouldn't say that. She's a good girl. She's perfect with taking care of me. Okay, I'm only going to slightly roll this out. I just stuck my nail right across it. Not what I wanted to do. Okay. And I really meant to measure this before, so I am going to guess on these. First, let's cut it down the middle. And I am going to say, here, I can set this down really quick and just go a little bit bigger than, there we go. And perfect. So I want to seal it to the edge. Okay. Let's do the second one. Don't want it to sit on here too long. There we go. You want to stretch it, or at least try to seal it down to the edge the best that you can. Now, what I wish I had was like a little shamrock cookie cutter. And I take these little pieces and I make little shamrocks. Here, let's see if I can be artistic enough. Probably not, but I'm going to try this. I'm trying here. It's not the most beautiful shamrock. It's I got a little messed up. But I guess you can tell what it is. Let's see if I can do another one. Here, this is a bigger piece. They're not perfect, but hopefully you can tell what they are. Figure out something to do with that. Okay, egg wash. Let's move these over to here. The other thing I want to do is put some slits in them. And let's brush them with some egg wash. Let's see if we can get the little shamrocks to stick down on there too. Little sad looking shamrocks. I wish I had made it a little bit thicker here at the end, but that's okay. Again, let's put some egg down for this shamrock to stick. And then egg it. There we go. That would work out a whole lot better if you have a shamrock cookie cutter. But it's rustic. Try to get some of this puddled egg off. Okay, so these are going to go into a 350-degree oven until everything is golden brown and bubbly. So I'll bring you back when they come out. So I'll see you in a bit. I decided to do something with the little scraps. And on one of them, I'm going to do a little twisty thing all the way around just to make it look a little prettier. Doesn't have to be absolutely magnificent here. So just 2 pieces and twist them around. Instead of wasting these little pieces. Okay, that should cover. So there's already egg wash on there, so just try to get it to stick. And let's put a little bit more egg wash around that. There we go. Okay, back to, I'm going to get these in the oven. So I'll see you when they're done. The steak and Guinness pie is all done. It does look rustic. I will honestly say that. And it is extremely hot. So I am going to give it a minute before I cut into it. So I will be back in just a bit and we'll try this out. Let's try the steak and Guinness pie. It is very hot, but I'm going to cut into a little piece of it. Oh, that's a big piece of steak. We know as much as I do not like eating on camera, I do not want to take a big, huge bite either. There we go. Technically break that apart with a fork, but here we go. Huh. Very hot. It's very good. Very rich. No way anybody can eat one of these. So this will definitely be split between me and my husband. Now I was talking about the gravy, which we're probably not going to do because it's pretty late at night. But I do have it in a pot and I made mashed potatoes. So the whole plan was to do some mashed potatoes with the gravy. I think I'm just going to put the potatoes and gravy away. This is more than enough. Very rich, very good. Doesn't need anything, no salts, no extra herbs. So I hope you give it a try. It's really good. So I hope you have a good evening. And if you like it, please hit like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.